You are watching News 9 Live. I'm Krishna Kumar, and time now to discuss something that's extremely important. It's the brand new future foreign policy of China that has been decided by Xi Jinping. Last week, China's President Xi Jinping unveiled a 24-character slogan that could yet shape their country's future foreign policy. And this new slogan marks a significant change from the 24-character approach advocated by Deng Xiaoping, which had been guiding China for many, many years. The essence of Xi Jinping's slogan is more assertive, indicating that China feels that they have reached some of their goals and are now ready to take a bigger part in global politics. So what does China's new foreign policy mean for India and the world? To understand that, I have a couple of very special people joining me here on this discussion live on News 9 Live. Ambassador Deepak Vora, former diplomat to many, many countries, joining us on the broadcast. And we also have Prasoon Sharma, geopolitics expert, joining us on this broadcast. Thank you both, gentlemen, for taking time out to be with us. Let me begin with Ambassador Deepak Vora, who knows a thing or two about Xi Jinping, to say the least. Talk to us, to give us a real perspective of what does this new future foreign policy mean in real terms. We'll start there, and then we'll get into how we can interpret it.
Thank you very much. Always a pleasure, sir, Mr. Krishna Kumar, to be with you, to learn from you. You have Mr. Sharma, whose knowledge is much superior to mine. You have an outstanding channel, and you're one of our best anchors. So thank you very much. Millions of people watching your show. Communist China's leaders, they live in an echo chamber where they only hear what they want to. Each leader has invented slogans. Go back to 1949. The granddaddy of the slogan mafia is this tingling, dingling, whatever the fellow's name is. Keep the people on a perpetual long march, expecting them to make sacrifices all the time. As soon as they get tired, invent another dream. Do they have a sense of humor, the Chinese leadership? You remember, sir, this character we all read in school called Winnie the Pooh? The Chinese government is very scared. They banned a film about Winnie the Pooh. Apparently, the character resembles this ding-dong fellow. So we've had all these slogans. We've had all these movements. The long march, 100 flowers.
Let me hold on to that. So the point is really simple. These slogans keep coming from Chinese leaders from time immemorial. So that's the validity of a slogan over there. It depends upon which leader wants to impose his will on the country and how much. Let me quickly take this over to Prasoon Sharma, and I'll bring it back to you, Ambassador Deepak Vora. Prasoon Sharma, tell us, how do you read this new slogan? Because it is more assertive. It is a departure from Deng Xiaoping's slogan. How do you view this move? What is the message being sent out over here?
So it has two messages. One means domestically and then internationally. So domestically, Xi Jinping is asserting that we have already achieved a level. And now we have to give away this, being low and, going behind the scenes. So they'll be more proactive. And this 24 characters is coming after China announced that they have broke a deal between Saudi Arabia and Iran. So this is
the timing is very important in this.
Yes, the next step is Xi Jinping is also traveling to Russia. And the certain Chinese media is claiming that China wants to broker a deal between Russia and Ukraine. We'll have to see how realistic this claim is. But this is a sequence which China is trying to portray Xi Jinping as a world leader now. And the previous years of Xi Jinping has already claimed a secure position for China, and now no need to shy away as a world leader. They will be more proactive. And then there is also some synergies in the previous statements that Xi Jinping mentioned about creating a great wall of steel. And then here also in this 24 characters, he's mentioning about fighting for the rights. So I think definitely they want to showcase more towards assertiveness and also to highlight that what they've already achieved.
Right. That's the message being sent out. Ambassador Deepak Vora, I really want to focus in terms of history that you're talking about. You're starting from 1949. Let's bring this to Deng Xiaoping. When this is a departure from Deng Xiaoping to what Xi Jinping is doing, how do you view that particular departure in the recent past?
Deng Xiaoping was a paramount leader. He also had his slogan. And what Tingling has done is simply modified some of the things given priorities elsewhere. Deng Xiaoping talked about talking softly and carrying a big stick, which is an African proverb, not Chinese, but they lay claim to everything. And Ding Dong is these days talking about doing many, many funny things, and we are going to achieve the great rejuvenation, simply because he's managed to get the Saudis and the Iranians, who had been talking in Qatar and elsewhere for a long time, to come and sign it in Beijing. What's the quid pro quo? Sir, these guys are so isolated that even if something happened between Peru and Bolivia, Tingling will claim credit for it and say, oh, we've got them to agree that 20 square kilometers of part of a lake belongs to...
Would you give more credit to the MBS for that peace treaty than to Xi Jinping then?
There is no question about it. It's not that nobody trusts the Chinese. Why would they want to go and sign it in Beijing? They've been talking for a very long time. Now, I'm not going to go into why Saudi and Iran have decided to jump into bed and saying, I love you, my darling, my darling. They've been stabbing each other for so long. There are other reasons. But China has absolutely no role to play in that. They're claiming the credit. So who in the world is giving them credit? Please look at the commentaries saying the party has just begun. Sir, वो गाना नहीं है Bollywood का, अभी तो party शुरू हुई है. आप देखिएगा उसको, what's going to happen. That deal, sir, I've served long enough in that region, 50 years and counting. That deal will last for 30 days. And thereafter, there'll be again trouble. And then Dingling Ping Pong will have egg all over his face, but it will never be reported in China. So this is the thing to remember, that whatever slogans he's giving, we have achieved this, we have achieved that. Sir, will you give me a minute, sir, just to ask Mr. Sharma this question?
Please go ahead. Please go ahead. You're more than welcome.
Thank you. There used to be a character, you heard of him, called Adolf Hitler. Ran a country called Germany. And I read this 1955 classic, I think Milton Mayer was his name. Why did the people of Germany, seeing everything happening around them, obey that scoundrel? The title of the book is They Thought They Were Free. Fascinating reading, 1955. This is exactly what is happening in China. You think you are free, but every freedom has been taken away. You're not allowed to think. Your brains have been excised. So this 24 characteristics, I remember there was new era of socialism, thoughts, a new era of thoughts of ping pong with Chinese characteristics, which is the new Bible for everybody, from school to college to university to every grouping. It has to be studied. What is this nonsense, sir? I believe that this slogan is nothing more than a slogan, and I don't think it's exciting too many Chinese
people.
But
the timing is important, as Parsan Joshi has been telling us. The timing has been extremely is crucial, because that Parsan Sharma has been telling us from the timing perspective. Ambassador Deepak Vora, how do you view that?
I'm not so sure, because you should have waited a little while before coming out with this. If the deal collapses, then what happens? Mr. Sharma,
what happens, Parsan Sharma? Would you like to answer that? What happens if the deal collapses?
So, Ambassador Vora is a senior of all of us. There are certain aspects, I agree on this. Like if you see domestically what's going on in China, the Politburo Steering Committee, the top 7, out of top 7, the 5 new appointee is the subordinates of Xi Jinping. So if you see their photographs with Xi Jinping in all the websites or in public domain has been purged. So now, yes, there is a kind of undercurrent going on in China, where Xi Jinping is trying to control the reins again, and with a strong hand. Meanwhile, this narrative of having a global position and China retaining a global leadership is also a part of that strategy, I think. And whether the deal goes okay or not, that's other story. And as Ambassador mentioned about that, they were discussing for quite a while. But why they chose to come to China is again like a brownie point for Xi Jinping. Whether the international or multilateral forums accept any role of China or not, but in a subtle message to its domestic stakeholders, Xi Jinping is trying to say that we have started solving global problems, and that's how now we should be more proactive in global diplomacy and geopolitics arena.
Right, that's an important point, Ambassador Deepak Vora. If not anything, this should, India should be more wary from your on.
Well, as Mr. Sharma has very correctly put it, it's a message to the domestic audience. There used to be Uncle Sam, now there's Uncle Dam. Sorry, Ping Pong, whatever his name is. So we are going to determine everything about the future of the world. We are back to being the center. No, sir. It may be very good for the domestic audience. It's not accepted internationally. Otherwise, there would have been a lot of, a cry about this. There would be a lot of analysis, people talking about it. I don't see too much of media coverage apart from the fact that you are discussing it as you rightly should. What does it imply for India? Very little, sir. China doesn't like India, period. We don't like them, period. This guy is the greatest mafia thug in history, armed, dangerous, and vicious. And sir, I do not see any kind of a rapprochement between China and India in the near future till the basic issues are sorted out. Who's going to be the better person in the Asian continent? And you know what the answer is, sir.
Right. Who is going to be the better person if countries were people and they had characteristics? That's an interesting way of looking at it. Let me take this across to Parsun Sharma. Parsun Sharma, interpreting the messages coming from China is an art in itself, from what I understand. When they want to announce something like this in a particular context, and we're able to join those dots, where would you see the way forward? Because we're just seeing the emperor being reinstated for the third time in China, Xi Jinping again, and then there is this new foreign policy, and the thing is that if we, the problem is that it's a departure from a Chinese leader who's quite unlike Xi Jinping. That's Deng Xiaoping. So when there is a change in leadership and there's a change in the character of the leader, a lot has to be kept in mind for neighbors like us.
I think Indian stand is firm and very clear. Whatever they are trying to portray or create a narrative, that doesn't change Indian stand. And it is very clear that India is, the foremost concern of India is the peace on the border. Although previously and currently also Chinese want that economic tie and this whatever is going on border should be handled separately. But the current government is very clear that this is not a separate issue. This is the foremost issue to dealt with. And I think we are waiting who will nudge first, because in June, there is an SCO meeting in India, whether Xi Jinping physically comes to in India to attend that. And then in September also, there is a G20 meeting for heads of the nation. So I think ball is in China's court, and if you see the current body language of Chinese foreign minister, he visited India for G20 meeting. It seems China will nudge, and they are in some way trying to close some of the fronts which they have opened to create a smoke screen for this new elections within the CPC. Now they have achieved what they wanted to internally and domestically. They know that they have already opened many fronts in geopolitics, whether it's confrontation in South Sea, in India, and with US, and also in Europe. So I think the major focus of China will be more towards confrontation or frictions with the US now. They want to deal it with much more focus and synergy. We'll have to wait and watch how successfully they will be able to.
Right.
But whatever the rhetoric is, the export and import, the trade of US and China is still growing.
That's the reality of it all, isn't it? The rhetoric, be it as it may. Ambassador Deepak Vora, what I wanted to ask you about the stage is, we were talking about this in a year in which India is the chair of the G20. As Parsun Sharma was talking about, we have events coming up, global commitments coming up, for the year. From a diplomat's perspective, how does India move the chess pieces right in a year like this, vis-a-vis China?
We are doing it brilliantly. We're going to have a meeting in the capital of a state called Arunachal Pradesh North of that is a place called Northern Arunachal Pradesh, otherwise known as Tibet. We are going to have a meeting there in Itanagar. And if the Chinese don't show up, the world will ask why not. And if they show up, well, it's an admission that it is ours. There's no question about that. Second thing, sir, permit me, I couldn't agree more with Professor Sharma that the besetting sin of China's foreign policy is intellectual sclerosis. It saw her allies invariably succumb to American blandishments, thinks it can use it as a template. Sir, 2023 is a different world we wake up to every day, and continuing with worn out, unsupported assumptions makes understanding our new world impossible. This is the problem with the Chinese. You know, the military of China, sir, tries to be diplomats. Its diplomats try to be warriors. No, 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 it doesn't happen. I've never seen that succeed anywhere. Therefore, how we are playing it is brilliant. You mentioned we are president of G20. Yes, that is the management of the world, the 20 largest economies. We also play a very active role in G77, which is 130 countries. That is the trade unions of the world. And we are the Ram Setu between the two. I don't think this has happened before in human history, particularly after the Second World War, that one country straddles the two worlds. We are doing it with aplomb, sir. I think we should be very proud of it.
Right, we're doing it with the plumb, Parsun Sharma is the word coming from Ambassador Deepak Vora. But the thing is that whenever an announcement comes from China, especially from the Chinese president, it's of great curiosity for Indians, not just for diplomats, especially for regular Indians watching this, following, global geopolitics. I think the message at this stage would be that in a year in which India is a G20 chair, and sort of leading a global delegation, is the same year in which China chooses to announce a brand new foreign policy. Isn't it, Parsun Sharma?
I think in terms of policy stakeholders, we are not nudged by any of their announcements, because we are fed up of all these, media or PR narratives. We want to see actions on the ground. So whether it's China or US, now our strategy is very comprehensive and very practical. So nothing, we are not,
We're not reactive. We're not reactive in that sense.
So neither we are impressed with whatever this information propaganda, or I would say PR
narrative that's being built.
So as per India's stand, we are very clear, and it's in a comprehensive strategy. We are working on the ground, whether it's building our technology capability, whether it's enhancing our defense capabilities. The recent figures says our defense import has been declined by 11%. So that's a huge, although still India is the largest importer of defense equipments, but India is going in a directions where the realization of Atmanirbharta is coming up, whether it's in defense, it's in technology, geopolitics, and also in skilling. As you see that 40 countries has signed with the mobility program with India, where India will be providing skilled manpower, which is huge. And this is a soft power, like where we'll be placing not only our IT talent, but also blue and grey collar workers in G7 or G20 countries. So this is what India is doing on the ground, and in a very comprehensive way.
Right. Right. Ambassador Deepak Vora, it's a fair point. It's coming in from Parsun Sharma. The question here is that where does China go from here? Okay, you make this announcement. Let's see how many people even take you seriously at this stage, because you do find yourself isolated so much. Where does China go from here?
Nowhere. It remains where it is. 192 of the 193 members of the United Nations don't give a hoot about what this fellow says. Sir, China is not the center of the universe. He thinks that he can overawe people by his mere size and all the wonderful equipment that he manufactures. But the thing is that
from India's perspective, there is still trade that happens with China.
Oh, there's no question. But sir, Mr. Sharma will tell you better than I can that we needed all these these imports for your telephones, for your automobiles, for your steel plants, whatever. It's declining, sir. As soon as the existing orders go, let me assure you, and I've been talking to people at the highest level, and I do have access. This is going to decline. Because it's Atmanirbhar Bharat. Who suffers the most from Atmanirbhar Bharat? Not Bhutan, not Brazil, not Lesotho. It's China. They are going to suffer the most when we start making this stuff on our own. So that is the message India is giving consistently.
And as we were discussing, they were showing visuals of that trip of Xi Jinping to southern India near Chennai, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi hosted him. So much was expected from that meeting. It's great to sort of look at those visuals. It's great nostalgia. Imagine what we all thought when that was happening. That was broadcast live almost across channels. There was carpet coverage across TV news channels and newspapers. So much was thought of that particular meeting. The Prime Minister wearing the traditional veshti and the costumes of Tamil Nadu. It was a grand reception in a historic setting in the Mamallapuram cave temples near Chennai. Ambassador Deepak Vora, look at those visuals and look where we are. Now it's 2023, and all of that just remains a faint memory at this stage, a good memory at best.
Not a former Mongolian president whom I know. Chap's name was, I have great difficulty pronouncing it, but it's Sakhiagin Elmayorg. Very, very complicated. He wrote, I think it was 2 years ago, and he has met Ping Pong more than 30 times. He said, China cannot claim, I'm quoting, sir, verbatim, cannot claim humanity while committing crimes against humanity. Xi demonstrates, as many in history have before him, that it is possible to be charismatic in person and dangerous and autocratic on the world stage. He can be evil. Sir, and now I'm not quoting, he's a megalomaniac. He's a larger-than-life Idi Amin who runs policies on the basis of whims for his self-aggrandizement. So don't take this very seriously. Something new will emerge. As soon as there are enough problems inside, they'll come out with some new slogans. Because already it's, 2049, the great rejuvenation. When there's trouble, it'll go back to 2249 because Ting Tong is going to be president for the next 5,000 years. So you'll see this happening. I wouldn't take it seriously. And there's no change in China's foreign policy. It means nothing, sir. It means zilch.
It means zilch, Parshun Sharma. It means zilch. But when you look at those visuals of that visit, from there on to now, how would you rate, India-China ties from that meeting in Mamallapuram near Chennai to now in 2023?
I think that meeting was a wholehearted attempt by our prime ministers to really sit with the Chinese leadership and solve the problems. But now things has been changed. And now again, on the other side also, India is wholeheartedly working. If China wants that, let's give it back to them. And in all aspects, whether it's trade, economy, multilateralism, or even cultural, or even in one-to-one ties also. So I think China has already got the message, and we don't see consistency in Chinese foreign policy also. They tried multiple things in our neighborhood also, whether it's in Nepal or Pakistan, and they failed. So if you see the track record of Indian diplomacy and the comprehensive strategy globally, it's winning. Whether it's vaccine diplomacy, whether it's hosting other countries and providing them support, whether it's Sri Lanka or Nepal. So you can see there is an inconsistency.
Even helping out earthquake-hit countries like Turkey and Syria.
Yes, and India is it's like India's Uday as a voice of global South. Even if you see Russia-Ukraine case, not all are coming towards Western narrative. They are joining India, where they are cautious and neutral and want to have their own opinion on various matters. So right. This world is seeing the rise of India, and it's already have taken a place. And the timing is also good for us in the presidency of G20 and SCO. This gives us a good stage set for us to achieve more things for our future.
Right. And with that, I'm afraid we've completely run out of time.
Sorry, I just wanted to say to just support what Mr. Sharma has said, that our rise is non-threatening. China's rise is intimidating and has been. Everybody feels very comfortable with us. That's it.
All right, I'm afraid we've completely run out of time over here. Ambassador Deepak Vora and Parshun Sharma, thank you so much for joining us on this broadcast. We had this because this was on the occasion of the announcement of Xi Jinping's brand new foreign policy, new 24-character foreign policy, a departure away from Deng Xiaoping's foreign policy. Let's see how that plays out in the coming days. But with that, we wrap up this particular edition of News 9 Live. Thank you so much for all those who tuned into this live. Keep it with News 9. This is Krishna Kumar signing off.